What's up, y'all? Welcome to WE2SOLIDTV. We're here. We keep it solid as a rock. Today's topic is on abuse and the cause and effects that it has on your life. There are so many types of abuse, but the main three I will be tapping in today on is emotional, mental, and sexual abuse. Emotional, mental, and sexual abuse is the root of a lot of trauma. The lack of healing and conditioning will cause you to either start inflicting that same abuse either onto yourself or others, leading you into a never-ending cycle, which is one of the main reasons I encourage you to heal instead of neglecting your wounds. Neglect is emotional abuse and is also the most common form of child abuse in the U.S. Children experience child abuse at a rate of 8.9 per 1,000 children. That's more than half. It has come to my attention on my healing journey personally that a lot of my trauma, wounds, and defaults stem from childhood. The lack of tools, information, and guidance mixed with the impact of traumatic experiences makes it 10 times harder to heal. A lot of people never even get around to doing it. Without treatment, repeated childhood exposure to traumatic events can affect the brain and nervous system and increase health risk behaviors such as smoking, substance abuse, eating disorders, and a whole lot more. If you have experienced abuse as a child or at any other age, your brain might have become wired for fear, anxiety, and stress. This type of mental conditioning can cause chronic depression, PTSD, anxiety, developmental delay, violent, aggressive, or criminal behavior, high-risk sexual behavior, and permanent physical injuries, even death. Without healing, the ripple effect that abuse and trauma has on your life is detrimental. Emotional abuse, also known as psychological abuse, coexists with other types of abuse, but is the most difficult to identify. 5 signs of emotional abuse. 1. If they are hypercritical or judgmental towards you. 2. If they ignore boundaries or invade your privacy. 3. If they are possessive, controlling, or manipulative. 4. If they often dismiss you or your feelings. 5. If they use intimidation, coercion, or harassment to silence and control you. All of these tactics result in mental distress. Years of being emotionally abused can thin out certain areas of the brain that helps you be self-aware and control your emotions. Emotional abuse causes mental disorders. Emotional and mental abuse goes hand in hand. Emotional abuse targets a person's feelings. It uses emotions to manipulate, punish, and achieve control. While mental abuse more so focuses on questioning and influencing a person's way of thinking. Personally, for me, I believe that the neglect, lack of love and acceptance, emotional, mental, and sexual abuse formed me into a codependent people pleaser that valued the love from others way more than my own. At a certain point in life, you could almost persuade me to do anything, all for the false perception of love. I not only started mirroring to myself what I was receiving, I lost touch with myself, never truly getting to understand and know who I am because I became whatever or whoever a person needed me to be, even if it meant sacrificing myself. I was so conditioned to the abuse that the low self-esteem, feeling that the abuse was my fault, feeling unworthy, not enough, all of these different symptoms became normal to me. It was just a way of life. Without personal healing, you never get to define who you are. Your trauma, wounds, hurt, and pain do that for you. The enemy wants to destroy you. He starts by destroying your belief system, which in return destroys your character. You start to believe that you are a product of your circumstance. You give up all authority and control over your life when you start to believe that where you've been and what you went through holds more weight than where you're going. You take on a mentality that stops you from even trying to get there. You start to believe that because of the damage from the trauma and abuse, that you are unable to prosper and succeed in life. And I'm here to tell you that that only becomes true when you give up on yourself. Your circumstances does not determine your outcome. God will not put you through anything that he felt as though you could not handle. For the longest time, I felt as though my wounds and my scars made me weak. But all they are is evidence that you are a survivor, not a victim. Sexual abuse can be broken down into 5 phases. 1. Engagement, where there is access. 2. Sexual interaction, where there is a progression of sexual activity. 3. Secrecy, where there are promises made or threats of physical harm. 4. Disclosure, either accidental or purposeful. And suppression, where there is denial. Victims of sexual abuse normally were groomed by their predators. The predator finds this victim, gains their trust, helps them, isolates them, sexualizes the relationship, and then maintains the relationship with power and control. Grooming can occur at any age. Most often, victims are degenerated by the abuse and suffer a loss of self-worth and self-confidence. They live in fear, worrying about their safety and impending danger. Sexual abuse predators, any type of predator, normally preys on victims that have already been emotionally and mentally abused because they're already so broken from the conditioning that it makes it easier to achieve control. All of this pertains to why I feel as though personal healing is so important, not only to myself, but to anybody else that have been abused or went through any type of traumatic experiences. This is where we gain our control back. This is where we gain our authority back over our life. This is the moment where we're finally able to turn things around in our life. I encourage you to do the same, because without personal healing, you'll be stuck stagnant in a place of hurt, pain, trauma, and abuse. Thank you for tuning in on We2Solid TV, where we keep it what? Solid as a rock.